Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it. If you want to be on, start talking now because I've hit the record button and we're making a podcast, Joe.
Oh boy, what's the podcast going to be about, Lionel?
Wait, is this the first podcast? Is the last podcast?
Yeah, you know what? As a matter of fact, it is. It's very observant of you, Kaylee.
Wow.
That went right by me.
Yeah, she's been paying attention. She has been paying attention.
Well,
okay.
She's the engineer in the group, so she has to.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the voices you hear are Boston Joe, all the way from Hanover, Massachusetts.
Hello, folks.
We have Jordan, the occasionally employed producer, all the way from Cincinnati. And then we have young Miss Kaylee Zhang, who is superfan number 27. She just skirted in under the rules there, I think, because she's dangerously close to being crew. And she single-handedly builds Pratt & Whitney turbine engines for A320 Airbuses. And then she installs them, which is really the crazy part.
What about me, Lionel?
What do you do? I already introduced you.
Yeah, but I'm also a super fan, and I'm also...
Oh, yeah.
I'm also an employee now.
You're also squeaked in under you're an employee. You're the first one we have.
I know. I'm an employee in the sense that I've accidentally signed the thing where it says "Get works for peanuts."
Yeah.
Jordan, you should look for a little something extra in your paycheck this week.
Yeah.
There won't be anything there, but you should look.
Yeah, exactly.
I look every day. I open up every week. I open up that envelope and I wait for the stuff to fall out, but it never does.
We got two pieces of exciting news. Superfan number 25. Am I correct, Jordan?
You are correct.
You two just slid in. You know how you see in those movies where the steel gate's coming down and 007 has to, the only way he can get in is to slide under the gate? That's what you did. You just slid right under the gate. You just got in the superfan because now we're going to have to put you on the crew page. You're going to have to write up a little something, a little ditty. I feel like I got a code in my nose. I got a stuffed head. I don't have a cold. I have a stuffed head. So anyways, the reason we're here is because this show that we're about to present to everybody is all about our very own beloved Gordy Robinson from I think he lives in a cave in Scotland. And the 4th of Fife or the 5th of something or the
Isn't it a suburb of Edinburgh?
Yeah, he just basically
4th and Fife.
Yeah, he basically lives in Edinburgh. So anyways, what we're doing is this show is an interview we did with Gordy about running for worldwide. What is he going to be? Anybody know?
Director at large?
Is that what it is? Worldwide Director at Large?
Yes, it is.
So we interviewed him, and the vote is you have to vote before March the 1st, 2019. So it gives you about 2 weeks to get your vote in. And, of course, anybody else that wants to be, any of the other candidates that want to be interviewed, they just have to send us an email, and we'll give you the email address at the end of the show. So have you guys all voted?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, have you? If you voted for somebody other than Gordy, you probably shouldn't say it.
Yeah, I know. It's not nice to say that.
So the reason we're excited about Gordy is because he's a kind of a regular. He's a huge fan of the AML network, and he's 31, and he's got a lot of great ideas, and so we decided to interview him, and that's what we're going to listen to now. So Joe, you have a brand new microphone that you're using. It makes you sound very Barry Whitish.
I sure do, baby.
So Joe, give us the subway chime. Go.
Subway chime. Go.
This is a special news bulletin from the AML network. Oh, Bruce, you do that.
Listen, breaking news from the AML News Network.
Over to you, Bruce. We'll go over to the Bruce desk.
Yeah, I'm here at the hobby store down at Main and 5th.
You know what? We can't kid around because this is serious.
No, we're serious.
Yeah, this is actually a serious podcast.
Yes.
This one is actually meant to improve. You know what? This podcast is meant specifically to improve the human race.
I would agree with that.
Yes, because what this is about is our friend Gordy Robinson from Scotland. He lives in, I don't know, a cave or something over there. He lives in the Firth of Fife, or the Fife of Firth.
The Firth of Forth.
Okay, yeah, that's what he says. I think he just lives at, I think he just lives at 122 Meadowbrook Lane myself, but Bonnie Meadow Lane. So anyways, our buddy Gordy Robinson is running for the president, NMRA president.
No. Close.
Division superintendent?
Nope.
AP chair?
Nope. You want to go through a bunch of others, or just want me to tell you?
Yeah, just tell me.
He's running for a worldwide director on the NMRA executive, which means he would be representing members, believe it or not, worldwide.
That would be good. So you need somebody that's not from the North America. You need
Yeah,
somebody.
it covers Britain, Europe, Africa, things like that, because there's, I think, 5 different directors in total, and the worldwide one helps represent the members on the NMRA executive board.
And our buddy Gordy is here. Gordy, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
All right. So, Gordy, so you're running for the worldwide NMRA at-large guy.
That's basically covers the whole world, so every NMRA member in the world can vote for their candidate for that post and then represent everybody, and it gives an opportunity to help everybody. Really, there is only really 2 director posts that people from the British region can go and put their name down forward as a candidate for, and one's the Atlantic director, which was ex-Kathy Millett, and this role. And this role's pretty much always been one that I think has been somebody from the US has been in the post, and the world is a little bit broader than that. So it's been interesting because a few people have said, you're crazy to go for it because it's always been somebody from the States, and then other people are pleased that someone's gone from it that's not from the put themselves forward that's not from the States. So we'll see.
Is this the director at large, or this is worldwide director? Like, what is the actual name?
It's at large worldwide director.
Okay. Yeah, it's because Tony Custer was the at large worldwide director for a while, was he not?
I think so.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Right.
I think he was. Yeah.
And who would you be succeeding when you win this election?
I think it's Mike Brestol.
Mike Brestol?
Yeah, is that how you say his name?
Mike Brestol.
Mike Brestol, he was a former NMRA president.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, so he's the former director at large, and now you want it, and now you're running for it.
Yeah, I think his term expired because he could only do 2 terms, and I think they're 3-year terms. So his term expired, so it's up. And there's actually 6 candidates, which is interesting.
6
There's
candidates.
only one. There's one outside of the US.
So what we're hoping for is that the whole AML nation will be voting for Gordy Robinson.
I hope so.
That's what we're going for. So. Isn't that what we're going for, Bruce?
That's exactly what we're going for. Gordy's done certainly a lot in the time we've known him, and I think he can do a lot of good for the organization.
And Gordy, you are 72 years old?
No, I'm not. I'm 31, which is another difference.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bit of a problem.
I know, it's a bit of a problem. But I think, look, if you want change in the organisation, then we need to hear a younger voice, and we also need. No offence to the people that are in the positions on the national board now, although I've worked with some. So I can speak from some experience recently. There are some that do, and there are some that don't. There are some that have no new ideas, and there are some that do, and there are some that have new ideas and don't push them forward. And that won't be me. I've noticed in the other. I can't speak bad of the other candidates. There's some good guys there, but if you look at my candidate statement, I've set out there what I want to do. the others haven't. They've just talked about their past achievements. The organisation, I really feel that losing 3,000 members over the term of the last president, it should be a wake-up call that more of the same is fine, but there needs to be something extra, or that all that will happen is that 3,000 more members will leave in the next 6 years. Then we'll be getting less and less until it just completely fizzles away. And that's not something that I think anybody wants to see happen, because if there was no organisation there to champion the needs of modelers, then it would soon become very difficult to control DCC and make things work. Things might work together, but you wouldn't get all the features, for example. So, and I think the hobby's huge, and it's growing so much. It's absolutely massive, and that should be seen really as an opportunity, but it's not one that, with the current way things are going, we're really engaging with it within the NMRA. So there's a huge opportunity, but I'm not one of the I'm not a person that will sit on the sidelines, throw stones, and say you should do this and you should do that, without actually putting myself forward to actually do the work. I don't think that's not the way I work. I never have. So I put myself forward as a candidate.
I think that's a very noble thing to do at the age of 31. Are you sure you're not 64?
I'm positive, but I've been around modelers since I was a wee. So, I was doing trade shows with my father at 4 years old. From being 4 years old, I was on the booth selling models. So I've been around in the industry for a long time.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, and the point is, that's exactly what the NMRA needs. I mean, anybody that's thinking that we could use some young blood, here's a guy that's 31 years old. He's running for an office that he's suited for because it's worldwide director, and he lives in Scotland. And rather than just have somebody in North America, we could have a voice from outside North America. And granted, most of the membership comes from North America, but there is a lot of enthusiasm for the NMRA outside of North America. And so, and what is your like one of the ideas, the thing that got me excited about Gordy, and I was not excited about you, Gordy, at the start. I'm just kidding.
Fair enough.
I'm just kidding. Come on. The thing that got me excited about you is when you suggested to me about the virtual division. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, the
virtual region. Virtual
region. Yeah.
I thought that was such a cool idea.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'd like to see us do is we've got I've been involved in helping the NMRA get into the digital world, especially with their social media. And one of the things that I've been watching as our social media, I've done that for 2 years. I don't want to get into past achievements, but I've done that for 2 years, and in that 2 years, we've grown the NMRA Facebook group. There's now over 14,000 people involved. It was less than 10,000 when I got involved with that, but Ken set that group up a long time ago. It's been going a long time, and it was ticking along, but we've really accelerated it. And same with the Facebook page. That went from not a great deal. We were just in 4 figures to I think we've got 6,200 people who actively follow the NMRA's page on Facebook. But these people are from all over the world, and and so how do you interact with a broader audience? If you think how many modelers there are in the world compared to the 17,000 members of the NMRA, it's probably over 1 million realistically, and growing rapidly, especially in China and Asia. We've got some guys on the Facebook group in I think they're in Thailand, and they're scratch building everything to do their modeling out of styrene, because there's nothing commercially available for them. But that's becoming the hobby, out there. It's not. You couldn't say that there's been a hobby of model railroading in Thailand for forever. This is a recent thing, and it's because the internet and people are discovering this broad world that they weren't aware of before. And I think, as well as that, people my age, and getting to division meets is not an easy thing. When if you think you're a millennial, and okay, I see the videos about millennials, but just park that thought for a minute, because I am a millennial, but I'm not like that at all. But you're working a lot of hours to earn your money now. It's a lot of people are in 0-hour contracts. They're having to work unsociable hours. They're having to work weekends. NMRA meetings generally they'll happen in the week when people are at work for some groups, or they'll happen on the weekend when millennials are in work. If you want to go and get your coffee from Starbucks, you go on a Saturday morning. There's a millennial that could be at an NMRA meet, for example. So the idea of a virtual digital division or region was one that I've come up with to try to engage people from all over the world, so that if you can't go to your traditional NMRA meet or group, or you're the lone wolf out there, there's YouTube and stuff like that, but there is the ability to provide conferences virtually now, where we can have clinicians and where we can share. We can do video chats where we put rooms together and people can talk about particular special interests for the special interest groups. We can do clinics remotely. You can even I'm even working with the Modelling with the Masters team at the moment to provide Modelling with the Masters through video clinics, or live video clinics, so that we could do Modelling with the Masters anywhere in the world with any group, even groups that the NMRA hasn't traditionally been able to interact with. So that's the real idea of having a digital or virtual region, is being able to broaden the reach of the NMRA without spending anything. None of this costs any money. None of this costs anything really, other than time.
So this is what you envision then, is like a worldwide region, as it were, instead of the traditional model. In our area, it's Niagara Frontier region, or the Pacific North region, Southeast region, that type of thing, where it's all geography based. You're looking at a global digital region open to any member anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with the current setup, and I'm not proposing that the NMRA.
I'm not saying there is, but this is just it's a new concept that you're not tied down to where you live. You can talk to somebody down in Australia who's putting on a clinic for whatever this is, because he's live by whatever platform he's on.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I think it's more around us being able to engage with modelers that are maybe where there isn't an NMRA region, and the more members that we get, we then have that tipping point where we can start a region and they can start doing local activities. But without, if you think of the traditional way of you doing that, you'd need to send some kind of missionary, or have a missionary there who can get that going and get that set up. And that is just not cost effective, not really practical, and this isn't the church. But by providing it virtually and online, and still potentially would need to be through a member's paywall, which is fair enough. YouTube's obviously open to everybody, but some part of this would need to be through a paywall to make sure that there was the incentive to become a member. But there's nothing to stop us. And then when you've got that nucleus of members in Africa, Asia, even parts of Europe where the European region doesn't currently have a presence, for example, then we can go and set those regions up. We could go and set those divisions up. And equally, we're talking about the world, but bringing this back to people in the US, there's no reason why. I would give Shane as an example. Shane Mason as an example. There's no reason why Shane can't get involved in this. There's no reason why anybody couldn't get involved in this and sign up and watch these, take part in these clinics, or take part in online meetings and things like that. There's absolutely nothing stopping everybody in the NMRA getting involved in something like that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best ideas I ever heard. I mean, it so much encompasses what I'm always going on about, how the hobby's going to grow because of the fact that we can all connect to each other. And I mean, that would be just a super duper way of letting people belong, and they can live virtually anywhere in the world. Anywhere that they have internet access, they could be a member of the NMRA and be an active member of an active division or region. I think that's such a cool idea. So hip. But so let's just make sure everybody understands that your background is in IT or internet. What does IT stand for?
Information technology. But that's not actually my full background. That's what I do for a job at the moment. That's my current career, but it's not my whole career. I left school. If you want to go for my whole career, I left school at 16. I graduated. I know in the US and Canada you graduate at 18, but I left at 16 and went into the Navy. I did 4 years in the Navy as an engineering officer before working in hospitals in the UK, and I was a general manager of a hospital at 22,
right.
And worked my way through worked for the what we call the National Health Service. So I worked in the hospital for 9 years, and now I work for a Scottish-based IT company who build healthcare software for the US healthcare market. So
So
I'm a manager there.
Yeah, so you have a background in computers and understanding software and all that sort of stuff. So you're not just spitballing this idea and saying to somebody else, "You go figure it out." You've actually got some knowledge about it and could actually implement it. And everybody should know that you've been very active in getting the NMRA Facebook page going and getting it active as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in Florida at the convention in Florida in 2017, and I remember I was posting lots of things for the British region. I've done the British region's social media for about 3 years before that, and suddenly I was getting inundated with people going, "Why is the NMRA not doing this? Why is the NMRA not doing this?" So, being the kind of person that I am, I sought out Christina Zambri, the marketing coordinator for the NMRA National, and said, "Will you give me the keys to the castle?" And I showed her all the messages that we'd got from all over the world, and she was like, "Yeah, great." And that was it. And I altered it over the course of that week, and then I remember calling her and I said, "Look, if we're going to do this properly, this is big. We need a team." And now we've recruited a team. We've got people doing Twitter, Instagram. We've got a team of admins sharing the burden on the Facebook group, and they're people in Australia, NMRA members in Australia, Maritime Canada, myself. So you've got 24-hour coverage, whereas we had one poor person doing that before on their own. So yeah. it takes a team to deliver anything like this, but the team is in place because of the people that I've met.
And that's the beauty of the internet. That you've got people from around the world involved with this. So there really is no time lag, because Gordy's having a sleep because it's now 3 a.m. where in northern Scotland, whereas Martin or whoever down in Australia, it's mid-afternoon for him. So somebody can be looking at things pretty much 24/7.
Yeah, the NMRA can be active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, which is basically what our podcast has become. People can download us and listen to us. That's kind of exciting, eh, Bruce? People can download you and me, listen to us at any time of the day or night.
That's kind of scary thought at times.
Yeah, you could be, you know what? You could be in some remote village in the outlying areas of India. And if they have internet access, you could go to sleep with the lilting sounds of you and me discussing just about anything.
Wow.
That kind of makes life worth living almost.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Gordy, just one thing I want to cover. When you did go to Florida and for that convention, you and I managed to have dinner together on the Sunday evening before you went.
We did.
Yeah, before you returned to Scotland. And I think there was some confusion there because I ended up paying for the whole thing.
This is true. Yeah.
And
I don't see how there could be any confusion with that.
Taxation without representation.
Okay, so what we want to do here is make sure that everybody, if they choose, so how do they get their ballot?
So there's, but on the, was mainly, let's start with how do you get the candidate statements, let's be fair. So if you're an NMRA member and you go to nmra.org, you log into the members area and you'll see the link to the candidate statements. You can see everybody else's candidate statement. If you, for some reason, I'm the only person in any of the director roles that's actually provided my contact details openly available to everybody. So that's my personal email address on the bottom of my candidate statement. If you want to ask me anything or get in touch, then you can. But in terms of your ballot, so it's happening differently in different regions. In the US and Canada, I believe you're getting an email ballot if you've got an email address on file with the NMRA.
That is correct.
Yeah, otherwise you'll get a postal ballot. I'm not sure what the Australians and New Zealanders are doing, but I should suspect they've probably got something electronic, because if you wanted to see a region that was above and beyond engaging in the digital world, well, go look at their regional website. So I would expect they're going to get an electronic ballot. In Europe, I believe, and the British region, they're emailing the ballots out to people, and it's a Word document that you can complete and return via email or by post to the ballot chairs in those regions. And if you anywhere in the world don't have an email address on file, you'll receive a paper ballot that you can return. And voting, I think, is open now, but you should receive your ballot by the 25th of January. If you don't, you need to be contacting your region, wherever you are. And voting closes on the 1st of March, so you need to get your ballot back to your ballot chair in your region, or complete the electronic voting in the US and Canada by the 1st of March.
Perfect. So I've already voted. I already voted for Gordy myself. I already got
Likewise.
Thank you.
Yeah, I already got my electronic ballot and voted. So do you want to tell people your email address now, or do you want them to just go to nmra.org to find it there?
I don't mind telling people what it is. I don't hide. You can find me on Facebook as well. You'll see I'm on the Fans of A Modeler's Life Facebook group. If anyone's not a member of that already, I suggest you join. It's awesome. And you'll find Gordy Robinson on there. But if you want to email me, my email address is gordonrobinson80@hotmail.com.
Gordon Robinson. So it's just the way it sounds. Gordon,
Yeah.
Gordon,
DON. Yeah.
Robinson, ROBINSON, 80.
Yeah.
What does the
At
80?
Hotmail.
What does the 80 stand for?
I don't know. I was about 14 when I started that email account, and it just stuck a number on it. I just went, okay.
So it's Gordon Robinson 80@hotmail.com.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And pointing out 80 is the numbers 8 and 0.
Yes, 8 and
Yeah.
0. As opposed to if the numbers were 83, it'd be the numbers 8 and 3.
Or spelled out as some.
I see what you're saying. I see where you're
Yes.
going there, Bruce.
Yes.
I see what you're going
Yeah,
for there.
Very good.
All right. So I think, is that it, Bruce? Have we covered it all?
I think, I've never met Gordy, but we've interacted a number of times via social media. He's certainly quite keen on helping out the NMRA bring itself along into the brave new world, and look forward to seeing him on the board of directors.
Field, and I'll interview you again at Springfield, because we want
Cool.
we want everybody to vote Gordy because he's young. That's what we want. We need a young guy in there from someplace else that has some young blood and wants to make a difference. Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Good luck, Gordy.
Good luck, Gordy. We love you,
Thank
Gordy.
you.
We love you, Gordy.
Yeah. I know.
Hey, what song do you want us to play you out with? Oh, I'll do bagpipes. I'll find some bagpipe music.
Yeah, it's got to be bagpipes.
Okay, so now I'm here with Gordy Robinson. Gordy Robinson from across the pond in the Firth of Fife and just down the road from a pile of haggis.
Aye. They roam everywhere.
What is haggis?
I'll tell you, but you've got to promise you'll eat it if I tell
No,
you.
I would never eat it in a million years.
It's basically
Yeah, that's right.
organs.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. So what have you done? So how many times have you? Is this your second Springfield?
This is my second Springfield. Yeah.
So now you get to come and you're not overwhelmed right out of the box. You actually knew what you were coming to.
Yeah, I knew what I was coming to, and it's great.
It seems more lively than last year.
Does it? I don't. Well, it's about four, just after 4 in the afternoon on Saturday. It's a little bit quieter now than it was, but yeah, at times in some of the buildings today, it was really busy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people a lot of the manufacturers and the organizations have upped their game this year, I think, with announcements and things.
Right, yeah. There was a big announcement at Scale Trains.
Yeah.
I still haven't found the guy. I haven't seen the the Proto Throttle guys. I haven't seen anybody. I've been talking to fans of the show.
Well, that's it. Look at the monster you created.
Yeah, I've created this monster. So you're running for
Worldwide at Large Director for the NMRA.
Worldwide at Large Director. What does that mean?
It basically means as a director to represent everybody in the world. So every NMRA member in the world can vote for that position.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's not like one of the ones that it's a representative of your particular geographical region. It's for everyone. And the kind of scope of that directorship, enables us to look at improving things on a global scale.
Well, don't you realize you're too young to do it?
Am I? I didn't know there was an age requirement.
You must be. What are you, 31?
31, yeah.
Well, you can't possibly be seasoned enough. Like, do you know how to just sit around and do nothing?
Unfortunately, it's not in my nature. But I was a general manager of a hospital at 22, so I think kind of being on a board is not a thing that scares me. I'm pretty familiar with working at C-suite level.
Well, and the thing of it is, you want to bring some. My favorite suggestion you made so far, which I think is absolutely one of the smartest things I've heard, and I'm sure other hobbies, organizations, associations, whatever, have done it. But it's the first time I've heard it in relation to the NMRA, is you want to create a virtual region.
Yeah, and I think it's been done, attempted to be done before, but not been done quite successfully, and the technology wasn't really there, but the technology's there now to do this. Global business does this on a daily basis. The Australians do it. They have the ability for people to dial into their divisional meets and regional meets. But it's not just around running a virtual division so that people can get involved in modelling and stuff. I want to bring that virtualism to connecting members so that we can work globally on projects, because things that the NMRA doesn't deliver. So, for example, the social media team. There's a member of the social media team in Maritime Canada. There's myself in the UK, and there's Marty in Australia, and there's all the guys in the US. And we all work together on a global basis, and we do that through technology.
Right.
Whereas at the moment, most NMRA things happen on a face-to-face basis.
Let's do that. Let's say that again. This is the social media team.
The social media team.
And how many members are there? He's counting with his fingers now.
There's 8 plus myself and Christina.
So there's 10.
10 in total.
So, and they live in Scotland, New Jersey.
Scotland, New Jersey. So there's Scotland.
Well, there's Scotland and New Jersey. Are you making fun of the way I'm talking?
No.
You are hardly in a position to be making fun of the way I'm talking.
Okay, so there's Scotland, Australia. Let's do pace outside the US. Scotland, Australia, and New Brunswick, Canada.
Right.
And then in the US, there is, I think it's Oregon or Washington. It's around the border. I'm not quite sure where. Somebody out in, I think it's Michigan. There's Minnesota, Massachusetts, and New Jersey.
Wow. And you guys all stay connected through media.
Yeah, through
the internet.
Yeah. And when we're at the show, the members of the team that are here, there's 3 of us at the show, covering various aspects of the show and signing up NMRA partnership, because it's this team that not only manages the Facebook group, manages the page, provides content, helps member inquiries through social media, of which there is hundreds of those on a monthly basis. But we're also the group that sign up the partners for the partnership program.
Yes.
So we're going out, meeting with vendors, doing deals. I wanted to get 3 people on the partnership program this weekend. We've definitely got 2. We've got a potential to get 5, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, the partnership program's a pretty good idea.
Oh yeah, I think so. It's something that the British region had. They only had about 8 partners. But now with the move, it's not to not support local hobby shops. Okay,
right.
This is that the cost and expense now for small cottage industry. In fact, small producers is cost prohibitive for them to go to every train show.
Yeah,
and they've got internet online presences, which is great. So we're trying to get them to go. Come on, give our members a free shipping discount or a discount. But we don't say you must do this. We simply say give something for our members, and we'll promote you, promote your business. But what we're trying to do, and we're very careful of, is we try not to get 2 partners that do the same thing, because we don't want them to become competitive. So it kind of that restricts us a little bit, and there'll become a point where we've got so many that we will have double ups of some.
Right.
But at the moment, it's pretty good because we've got we've got the guys in Ukraine that do U gears and stuff like that. I know one of the groups that we're
Wait a
looking
minute.
at.
Slow down. You got guys in Ukraine doing what?
We've got a company that make gears in the Ukraine, replacement gears for your locos,
Oh, okay.
and called U Gears, and they
U-Gears.
sell through the distributor in the US, and they provide a discount as well.
Oh, okay.
We've got airbrushes. We're in negotiation stages with a company that produces laser cutters
Really?
that you can have at home. Yeah, and we're looking to get a members discount on laser cutters and engravers.
Wow.
So it's great. I think it's a really good member benefit. You know, people say the dues are high, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But the dues are high. But with the partnership program, you can recover that money really easily.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the dues are high, but you can recover the money. But it'd be cooler if the dues were lower. Okay, so let's get right down to the nitty gritty here because we want you to be the next worldwide. What are you going to be?
Worldwide at large director.
Worldwide at large director. Is there an acronym for that?
Probably.
Yeah, I hate acronyms.
No, I don't like acronyms.
I'm not an acronym guy. So let's get right down to the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. Everybody's all in a kerfuffle because we've posted on the NMRA Facebook page that I want people to vote for Gordy.
There's been a little bit of a kerfuffle, yeah.
Here's what I wrote. Hey, I just got to Springfield, met up with Gordy. He's running for worldwide director at large.
Yeah.
And somehow that's thrown people into a tizzy. And
I think it was
executive in the NMRA is thrown them into a tizzy.
I think it was the vote Gordy bit at the
The
bottom.
vote Gordy, yeah. Well, how else? You got to vote for Gordy.
I know. But there's concerns that certain candidates are disadvantaged because
they
may
can't type.
be not on social media.
They can't type.
I agree with you. I see your point of view, and I don't disagree that there's no excuse for people not to get into the digital world, and just because somebody is, that shouldn't then disadvantage them over somebody who hasn't.
Yeah.
And I understand why people don't want to do that, but there was ways and means that existed before social media that they could do that. For example, I've been talking to various people obviously on this podcast, also talking in the press, in the modelling press, talking to different manufacturers, talking to YouTube shows that are promoting the actual NMRA, but also we're talking about the election and things like that. And it gets the NMRA out. And you know what's a really good thing? People are talking about the election, talking about the future of the organisation, the future of the hobby, and having that conversation.
Yeah.
And that's all I want people to do, is to have a conversation, to get involved, you know, and consider. The one thing we don't want people to do is to get really negative about stuff and then not step forward to actually volunteer and help with the NMRA, because that negativity doesn't help anyone. It puts off people coming into the hobby. They think, oh wow, this is just a seniors club, you know, and or a clique, and we want to break that barrier down. We've worked really, really hard over the last 2 years to improve the people's perception of the NMRA, the outlets that the NMRA is in, where we advertise, and we're not spending any money doing this. We're not. This is just basic, simple things of putting the time and effort in, and that's all that we've been doing.
Yeah, and so somehow the president of the NMRA, Pete, what's his name, Pete Magoon?
Magoon.
I understand he's a nice chap.
He isn't. He's here.
Is he here? I'd love to interview him.
I think you should. We should get him on the podcast.
Yeah,
he is a good guy, and he's working hard for the NMRA. You know, he's trying to make things better, as I'm sure everybody else on the board of directors is. You know, but he's got to, in a position of being the president of the NMRA, you've got to represent the views of everybody. You know, and balance those views of everyone. And insist that no one is disadvantaged.
Well, and I don't think there's really any opportunity for them to decide if they're going to have a Facebook page. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I understand how they can decide about you can't post. I just met Gordy, and I'd love everybody to vote for him. I don't see how you're going to put an end to that.
I think
it's where the NMRA is struggling is like they want a certain small group of people to call all the shots.
I don't know I don't know about that. I haven't got any evidence that that's what they're trying to do. But what I will say is that maybe when that policy was decided by the board of directors, now we have a social media team, and we have a group of people that understand social media, marketing, etc. That potentially we should look at revising that policy and actually ask the team who are in there, who have experienced, to write a suggested policy to the board of directors that's not quite as ambiguous.
So am I allowed to post on my AML, the Modeler's Life Facebook page? Am I allowed to post on there
the rule,
vote for Gordy, or is that against
No.
the NMRA rules too?
No, you can. There isn't a rule against campaigning.
Okay.
The rule is that on NMRA pages and NMRA groups, in NMRA newsletters, 'cause it's not just social media, it's in print as well.
Right.
On the NMRA YouTube channel, you cannot talk about one candidate without talking about all the others, and that is basically the rule. So if you were to put a post on there and said, "Hey, I've just met Gordy, who's a candidate for the worldwide director post," and you put a link to everyone else's candidate statements, that's totally fine. But equally, there's nothing that stops you from putting talking about the election on your own Facebook page, changing your profile picture, putting anything on your website, in a forum. There's nothing that stops members having the conversation. Other people may not want that conversation, but personally, myself, I want that conversation. So we in the social media team wouldn't stop that conversation. But if somebody was saying you should vote for this one particular candidate over everybody else, then we kind of got to wade in and say, well, let's be all fair and give everyone the same opportunity.
So how am I supposed to know there's no rules posted on the Facebook page, so how do I know that I can't do it?
Oh, the
those
rules
are
actually,
part of the secret rules.
And
No, they're secret rules.
The problem as well is that the rules were set and were published by the organisation in the e-news bulletin
in 1792.
Oh, actually, no, about 9 months ago. But they were published in the magazine and they were published in the e-bulletin. Unfortunately, not everybody gets it. And but as an organisation, I don't think it's a bad show, really, that if we were having to write such a policy to all our members, really, in the first place, because the hobby's about having fun.
Yes.
This is just ridiculous. That there's a potential, and people are worried that one person's disadvantaged from another because they don't have something that doesn't cost them money and doesn't, they're not prevented from having. I don't personally understand that perspective, but it exists, and that's something we got to work with. But that's not a policy, not a thing that the NMRA should be worrying about. I would rather the board of directors were spending more time on how we reverse the attrition that we've seen under the last administration, how we retain members, what member benefits do people get from joining the NMRA, how can we appeal to the broad spectrum of people. I mean, look, we're at Springfield, okay, and you spoke to John, the guy who runs the director of the show. You did a great podcast with him a few weeks ago.
John Sacradotti.
And from the numbers that he quoted, if memory serves me correctly, today there have been more people in these buildings, these 4 buildings in Springfield, Massachusetts, than there are entire members of the NMRA.
Over the weekend there will be.
Over the weekend, yeah.
Yes.
And that's, a terrifying statistic. When you think that we've got people there that don't want to be members, well, why do they not want to be members? And we need to understand that and reverse that and make sure that the NMRA is an organisation, in its unique nature that it has, of being all-encompassing and open for everyone, is actually meeting the needs of what people need in 2019 and beyond.
So they took my post down.
Yes, they did take your post down.
So because I'm not allowed to vote for Gordy. Am I allowed?
You are allowed to vote for Gordy.
Am I allowed to vote for you or not?
Yes, everyone's allowed to vote.
I just can't tell anybody that I met you.
You just can't tell anyone in the Facebook group or on the NMRA Facebook page that you met me.
Okay.
That's it. Well, no, not that you met me, that you're going to vote for me.
All right, so it's okay to tell you that I met you. Can I take a picture of the button and say, hey, look, Gordy gave me this button?
Yeah, I think the size of that button on a photograph, if someone wants to zoom in that much on your breast, then good for them.
All right, cool. All right, I'll take a picture of the button,
and
I'll put it on the NMRA Facebook page and say, hey, look at this button Gordy gave me.
Okay, all right. That could cause problems. That could cause problems, but...
well, let's see.
Go and see it.
There's nothing more fun than having fun.
Yeah, exactly. I can guarantee it'll cause problems, but it's but it's fine. And I mean, look, we're all here having fun. This is a great show, great event.
If we post that picture,
we will be. You know, the election's obviously going on, and it'd be great for people to vote. Look at the candidate statements and see what I'm about. Okay. People know me from the podcast and stuff, but it's not everybody does. But you know, go out there and have fun.
All right. I'm getting hungry. I'm getting ready to eat.
Have you bought anything today?
No, I haven't even got out of the studio. I've been talking. I met so many interesting people.
I found a few people for you to interview.
Yeah.
We've got a few
I haven't talked to one single manufacturer yet.
I think they're busy. Did you see scale trains before? That was crazy.
I know.
That was crazy.
Okay. So, the next thing you got to do is say subway chime go.
Subway chime go.
All right, so that's it. 2 interviews with Gordy Robinson from I don't know, somewhere in Scotland. Somewhere he like you say, Jordan. He lives right near Edinburgh.
The 4th, the 5th, and a 5th.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's the Kingdom of Fife.
Oh, is that what it is? The Kingdom of Fife?
I believe so, laddie.
Do they have drums over there? If they have the fife and the drums, and then
yeah, the fife and drums. Yeah, that's right. It's the fife and drums. I think I'm more Scottish than Gordy because my father belonged to the Toronto Scottish Regiment, and my uncles, and I used to always hang out with the Toronto Scottish Pipe Band, and when I was a kid. So those interviews were awesome. I really love the fact that Gordy has come. I am like super pumped about this idea that Gordy came up with about a virtual region. I think that answers every possible question about the future of the NMRA. A region where people from anywhere in the world could belong to simply through the wonders of the new digital media. I think that is such a cool idea.
That's a terrific idea. I'm all in on that.
Yeah.
Kaylee?
Totally. I think that's the best idea out there.
I know, and I can't, and he's so proud of that idea, and I'm so proud of him for coming up with it. I think it's a great idea. So, if any of the other candidates that are running for worldwide director at large or whatever it is, any candidate that's running for anything in the NMRA, if you want to be on, we're an equal opportunity podcast, so just send us an email and we'll get you on here. And that'll be cool. So, Joe, could you give out our email address with your sexy new microphone?
If you would like to reach us by email, send your cards, letters, and postcards to modellerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with 1 L like El Dorado, not 2 L's like Lincoln.
Beautiful. All right. And we have a website, modellerslife.com. If you go there, you'll find out all kinds of stuff. You'll find all kinds of links. I actually was at my sister's house yesterday, and my nephew, he wanted to know all about the podcast, so I just pulled it up on my phone, and he clicked on one of the links. I think he was listening to it on TuneIn or Spotify or something. And that's it. So, I think we've covered every base. Have we covered every base, Joe?
I believe we have.
Jordan?
I believe we have.
Kaylee?
I believe we have.
All right. So, we've given the email address. We've given the website. There's only one piece of business left to do. Remember, this is very, very important. Remember, a modeler's life is rated marginally adequate. A modeler's life is rated marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
Kangaroos in the Australian outback. Crikey.
It's another Lincoln Homer.